Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new Gentech PC product showcase. Today we're going to be doing a full-length feature review of the brand new Asus Strix Scar 2, which is the model number GL704. Now this is a 17.3 inch full-size laptop, but it's packed to be fairly thin and light, and of course this is targeted to be a gaming laptop. So we will be following our traditional review format today, and we'll start things off with our unboxing. As you can see, it's a nice black and red Asus box, Republic of Gamers branded on the laptop and the box. This is a fairly straightforward package. We have the laptop located right on top, and then underneath of it a few different compartments that have all the other accessories. Now it's not a super grandiose package. We have a small box here which is going to have our warranty information and driver information. And then over on the left-hand side is where we're going to find our power adapter. One thing nice about this power adapter, it's not too big and it has the rounded corners on it, so it makes it a little bit easier to get in and out of your laptop bag. And a quick close-up of the power specs here. So the power capacity of this particular adapter is going to be a 230 watt power supply. Also in that same compartment, we have our power cord. And an empty compartment on the right-hand side. So that's going to be everything you're going to find in the box on the GL704. So here we are with our laptop powered on for the first time. As you can see, it does have that thin profile. So even though it has a very large diagonal size, because it's a 17-inch laptop, it's pretty thin, both on the screen and the body of the laptop itself. Now the screen itself is very striking because of the larger size and the vibrant colors. It doesn't have a very high resolution like a 4K screen. It's only a 1920 by 1080p screen, but it has a 144 Hz refresh rate and a 3 millisecond response time. And the last bit of information about the screen is going to be the ridiculously thin bezel all the way around the edge. So while this is a larger screen, the thin bezel does reduce the overall size. It makes it more comparable to a 15.6 inch laptop that you would have had in the past. Now scrolling down over to the keyboard area, you can see we have a low profile chiclet style keyboard. This is LED RGB backlit. A very large area for our palms to rest because of the size of the laptop, and it's textured. It's nice to the touch. A large touchpad and individual left and right click buttons. Another thing to make it stand out as a gaming laptop is you see the WSAD keys are different than the rest. Also, one more addition for the RGB lighting is going to be the lighting strip all the way across the front of the laptop. So let's move along to the outside edge and look at our interfaces. We have our power adapter, RJ45 for connectivity, mini DisplayPort, HDMI, 3 USB 3.1 ports, and our 3.5mm connections for audio. On the other side, SD card reader, the USB Type-C connector here for Thunderbolt, and another USB 3.1 port. On the rear of the laptop, no connectivity, just our ventilation. So let's move on over to the scale and see how much this laptop weighs. We have a 6 pounds and 5 ounces laptop, which is actually really great for a 17-inch laptop. If you're going to be bringing your power adapter with you, it brings your total carry weight up to 8 pounds and 1 ounce. Now for measurements, we have a quarter here for scale and our ruler to give us the exact measurements. You're at about 1.25 inches on the rear of the laptop, and the front of the laptop a little bit closer to exactly 1 inch. So the back of the laptop is just a little bit higher, which makes it a little bit more comfortable when you're typing. Now moving into some of the meaty parts of the laptop, let's go into our device manager and look at our hardware. Now as you can see here, the star of the show is going to be the NVIDIA RTX 2070. This is not the Max-Q edition, it's the full-blown part, so it's not been reduced for laptop usage. And we have the Core i7-8750H for the CPU. For the monitor panel, here's the actual item number, so you can look that up on Google. And of course, like we mentioned, this is a 1920 by 1080p monitor with a 144 Hz refresh rate and 3 millisecond response time. So before we move into the performance benchmarks, the first thing we want to do is take a look at our current temperatures and make sure we get a good reading for before to compare to the after. Now the CPU is about 70 degrees Celsius on average, and our GPU is about 50 degrees Celsius. In addition to knowing those baselines, we want to know our current noise baselines as well. So with our meter out, we have about a 25 to 26 decibel reading right now next to the exhaust. And the other side of the laptop showing almost exactly the same reading. And our last baseline that we're going to capture is going to be the actual thermal camera readings from the laptop. So with this test, what we're looking for is mostly just to see where the hands are going to be touching, like the palm area. You want that nice and cool so you don't get sweaty palms, and you want to see the cooling system getting rid of the heat. So we should see some really bright hot spots near where the exhaust is at. Now we're just about to move into our benchmarking, but before we did that, we also wanted to get on screen just real quick the control software that Asus puts on the laptop. It's a very well laid out and very visually appealing piece of software, and this is where you can control your fan profiles, overclocking, the keyboard colors, and all those other things. Alright, it's time to move into the actual performance benchmark. So 3D Mark is currently running, and we'll go recheck some of our baselines. So here we are with our noise levels. You can see they have definitely gone up to about 60 decibels. Reading on the other side is fairly close to the same, but it's a little bit quieter. And for the actual overall temperatures, you can see they definitely have gone up a little bit as well. Luckily, the heat from the video card and CPU is being taken out of the system well enough that the palm area hasn't gotten any hotter than the baseline. So our benchmark has finished, and 3D Mark Firestrike came in with a score of 16,843. As far as how the temperatures went, the CPU about 90 degrees Celsius, which is exactly what we've seen from other laptops with the same CPU, and our GPU about 75 degrees Celsius, which is a really great temperature. Now moving right along to our next benchmark, this is going to be Cinebench R15. So the main thing we want to look for on this benchmark is going to be the frames per second that everything was rendered out. And our final score there is going to be 92.13 frames per second. All right, next up is going to be our speaker system. And today, everybody, our final part of the review is going to be the disassembly of the laptop to show you what's inside. So there'll be several screws along the perimeter to remove, and then we'll be able to take off the bottom cover of the laptop. So here you can see there's several different sizes of screws here, so if you ever do take this laptop apart for any reason, make sure you keep a very good track of where the screws came from so they can go back in the same order. So here is your exclusive first look of the insides of the Asus GL704. Up front we have our battery. It's a fairly nice sized battery. We have our red PCB, which is unique. It's quite colorful. 2 RAM slots, one populated, one empty, so you could upgrade the RAM there. The low profile black heat pipe cooling system. An open M2 slot here for an SSD, so you could also upgrade a new SSD there. And here's your mass storage for a 2.5-inch SATA connection. So this is currently a mechanical drive, but you could also put an SSD in there as well. Also, while we have everything taken apart, you can see how that fiber optic channel for the light bar works. So for further disassembly of the unit, we took all the small screws out. We took the 2.5-inch drive out, and we took the cooling system off. So this has exposed our CPU and GPU. You can see that how those were located next to each other and how the heat pipe is laid out to cool those down. And that's pretty much the full disassembly of this unit. There's nothing on the other side of the motherboard that's necessary to reach. So at this point, you could pretty much get to any component on that motherboard. So now with our disassembly complete, that's also going to be bringing our review to a close. So we hope everybody was able to enjoy the full-length feature review of the Asus GL704. So if you found yourself interested in this particular laptop or you'd like to learn a little bit more about it, go down to the video description and find the product page link. There you'll find the full system specs and the current pricing and availability for this model. Now outside of the product page, if you find yourself with any other questions or needing some help, there's 2 ways to get help. Feel free to go down to the comment section and post your question there, and we'll be sure to answer it for you and everybody else. And of course, if you need one-on-one help, feel free to contact us by phone or email, and we'll be sure to help you out. So once again, we just want to remind you, this was Gentech PC, and we'll see you next time.